Okay, so y'all, apparently I blinked and 10,000 people decided they actually want to hear what I have to say about St. Louis. 10,000. Well, 10,000 on TikTok, not on Substack. I only have like 188 subscribers, which isn't too bad, but you know. Well, listen, I've had students ignore me mid-sentence for less, so this is sort of a big moment. First of all, thank you. Thank you for tapping in, showing love, and reminding me that St. Louis is ready to talk about itself. Not the glossy tourist brochure version, not that I think one exists anyway, but the real version. The messy, beautiful, systemically shady, deeply sacred version. Welcome to The Hidden Lou, a podcast where we dig up what they tried to pave over and we do it with receipts, a little laughter, and a whole lot of community truth-telling. Now, if you're new here, hi, I'm Dr. Lillian Randall, a special education teacher, community nerd, and certified troublemaker when it comes to calling out the powers that be. And I'm hoping one day that doesn't cost me my job, but you know, who knows? And in the first episode, we're talking about something a lot of folks in the city feel but can't always name. Why does it feel like millennials in St. Louis are doing all the work but still can't get a seat at the table? Spoiler alert, because we are doing all the work. And also, there is no table, just a bunch of folding chairs set up by folks who refuse to retire. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking, well, Lillian, can't we just work together? Sure, maybe, in theory. But you ever tried bringing an innovative idea to a school board meeting in St. Louis? You'd think you just handed them a bomb instead of a plan. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how millennials have been boxed out of leadership in education, politics, and public spaces in a city that desperately needs fresh vision. We're going to talk about what real community investment looks like and why this generation, our generation, might be the one to finally flip the script in the Lou. So get comfortable, grab your coffee, your stack, your STL pride, but like the kind that comes with the side of critique, because the Hidden Lou is about to begin. And baby, we're digging up more than just old history, we're digging up truth. All right, y'all. So let's talk about something that's very St. Louisian. Something more sacred than Ted Drew's, more ironclad than a toasted ravioli recipe, something we've all heard at least once if we've ever tried to do something new in the city. You gotta know somebody. Oh, you want to open a business? You gotta know somebody. Want to get into that education leadership role? You gotta know somebody. Want to breathe air on the north side without a permit? Guess what? You gotta know somebody. Let's call it what it is. St. Louis runs on gatekeeping. And it's been that way since fur traders and riverboat dads divided up this city like it was Monopoly. Now, I'm not just here to drag, okay? I am dragging maybe a little bit, but I want you to understand that this gatekeeping is rooted in history, and it's deep. So back in 2007, St. Louis Public Schools was taken over by the state. They said the district was underperforming, and instead of providing support, they basically said, yeah, let's go ahead and remove local control from the Black community and give the keys to a few folks downtown who think North City is a myth. The elected school board? Gone. Replaced by the Special Administrative Board, which was about as transparent as a brick wall. This wasn't about better schools, it was about power. Who gets to make decisions, who controls the budget, and who gets credit when a school succeeds. And spoiler, it usually wasn't the teachers or the parents or the students living the reality. Now let's zoom out. Across the city, we've seen powerful, mostly older, mostly a certain type of people stay in the same positions for decades. City departments run like family businesses. Boards and commissions full of people who haven't changed their minds or their socks since 1992. Meanwhile, you've got millennial organizers, educators, and entrepreneurs building things from the ground up without funding, without support, and definitely without the city's approval. Let me give you an example. When Sumner High School, the first Black high school west of the Mississippi, needed support, the city gave it a plaque and kept it pushing. A literal monument to past excellence while ignoring the students inside right there and then. And y'all remember those North Side development plans? Where was the investment for Farragut, Blow, Hickey, or Yateman? Nowhere. But we did get another luxury dog wash facility in Soulard, so there's that. What this all shows is that power in St. Louis has been hoarded like it's rare china, and millennials, we're just asking for a chance to bring paper plates and a folding table to the cookout. We're not trying to erase history. We're trying to upgrade the infrastructure so it doesn't keep collapsing on our kids. But here's the thing. The people at the top don't think they're gatekeeping. To them, this is just how things are done. But when how things are done means shutting out new voices, ignoring grassroots work, and prioritizing wine bars over working schools, that's not tradition. That's oppression in khakis. And we're not playing along anymore. So stick with me, because in the next section, we're going to talk about what millennials are actually doing, how we're using tech, community, and straight up grit to build what they won't let us walk into. So you ready? Let's go. So we've established that St. Louis gatekeeping is Olympic level. But here's the good news, because there is good news. Millennials, we were built for the bounce back. We're the first generation that remembers life before the internet and then had to master life because of it. We went from dial-up tones and landlines to Zoom classrooms and Canva pitch desk in under a decade. We're flexible. We're scrappy. We've got PDFs, side hustles, trauma, and degrees. We are walking duality, and that's power. But you know what else we've got? Receipts. Let's talk about what we've actually done here in St. Louis. When the system wouldn't fund new education tools, I said, fine, I'll build my own. And that's how my nonprofit Titan Title I Teaching Advocacy Network was born. Hopefully, we're going to drop our first tool this July, and it's going to help educators, especially in underfunded schools, plan lessons faster, smarter, and with the support they deserve. Because teachers don't need more PD slides. They need tools that respect their time and their genius. And I'm not the only one out here building. You've got STL millennials creating Black-led homeschool co-ops, mental health apps, community libraries, urban gardens, pop-up museums, and podcasts just like this one. You think KSDK is telling these stories? No. But you are, on TikTok, on IG, on Twitter. We are our own media, and we're doing just fine. So let's go deeper. Millennials in St. Louis aren't just making things look good on social media. We're solving problems that older generations refuse to touch. You've got organizers from Ferguson still doing the work today, fighting for police accountability and youth programs. You've got entrepreneurs like Liberated Roots, the Noor Bookshop, STL Vegan Deli, who are building businesses with soul in neighborhoods the city wrote off decades ago. Then you've got educators, people like me and many of you guys listening who are still showing up in classrooms that haven't been renovated since the 70s because we believe our kids are worth more than black mold and outdated textbooks. Here's the twist though. Most of us weren't invited into these spaces. We created our own lanes because the old ones were blocked off with caution tape and passive aggression. We don't have board appointments. We don't have six-figure grants. We have Wi-Fi, a vision, and an extreme intolerance for generational nonsense. Millennials are tired of being seen as the help when we've already been doing the heavy lifting. We've coached, mentored, fed, funded, healed, tutored, and created, all while being told we don't have enough experience. Please, we've had to experience recessions, school closures, a global pandemic, and student loan debt so wild that it has its own zip code. If that's not experience, I don't know what is. The truth is, we're not asking for credit. We're asking for clearance. Clear the way. Step aside, old man. Let us lead. And when we do lead, we lead differently. We lead from the middle, not the mountaintop. We collaborate. We center people. We build what we wish we had. And we don't wait for permission to start doing the work. So in this moment, I want to speak directly to my fellow millennials. Keep going. Keep building. You are not behind. You are exactly where change always starts, at the edge of collapse, with your sleeves rolled up. In the next segment, we're going to talk about what this tension really looks like when people see you doing the work, but still refuse to move out of your way. Because there's a difference between being praised and being empowered. Let's get into it. So here we are, working overtime, innovating from scratch, starting nonprofits out of living rooms and lesson planning tools off late night Google Docs. And yet, we still don't get invited into the rooms where decisions are made. St. Louis is the kind of city that'll repost your community work on social media, but won't respond to your grant application. It'll shout you out on a panel, then turn around and give the actual contract to someone's cousin with a Gmail and a golf club membership. Let me be real. This city loves to watch millennials do the work. It just doesn't trust us to lead. And that's not new. It's systemic. So let's go back again. Remember Sumner High School? That school I was talking about, the first black one that was west of the Mississippi? That school should be a national monument. Instead, it's been systemically underfunded for decades until the tornado hit in May 2025 and forced everyone to pretend like they suddenly remembered Northside schools exist. And it wasn't just Sumner. It was Ashland, Hickey, Washington Montessori, Yateman, Solden, all damaged, not just structurally, symbolically. Because when disaster hits a marginalized community and the response is delayed, underwhelming, or performative, that's not a glitch. That's the system functioning exactly as designed. Let's talk education for a second. There are millennials in St. Louis who've been teaching in broken systems, creating classroom libraries from GoFundMe donations, building relationships with students who walk through trauma just to show up, and doing it with no power to change the policies that cause the harm. But when we speak up, we're too emotional. When we challenge old models, we lack experience. When we start building our own thing, suddenly the city's concerned about sustainability. Nah, you're concerned about accountability. Because when millennials step in with the solutions, we expose the truth. The system is not broken. It was built to exclude us. We know this because they love our aesthetics. They just don't want our leadership. They love our youthful energy, our TikToks, our Black history slideshows, our healing circles, our urban gardening programs. As long as we don't ask for power, a seat, a vote, a line in the budget, a key to the building, this isn't just about ego. This is about being able to do the work without burning out or selling out. And let me say this loud for the folks in the back. Praise without access is not equity. Visibility without voice is not leadership. The folks clapping the loudest often have their hands on the doors keeping us out. And yet here we are, still showing up, still building, still believing that the St. Louis we deserve is possible if we're brave enough to imagine it and bold enough to fight for it. So, in the final segment, I'm going to tell you exactly what I believe this city could be if we let go of the gatekeeping, stop repeating the same 5 names, and actually trusted the people doing the work to lead the work. Stick with me, we're almost done. Okay, so we've called out the gatekeeping. We've laid out the receipts. We've celebrated what millennials in the city are doing, despite being left off the email threads, the panels, and the budget proposals. But now it's time to talk about what's next. And here's the truth. We're done asking. We're building. We're building schools that reflect our values. We're building businesses that heal instead of extract. We're building tools that don't wait on state funding or downtown meetings. We're building culture, classrooms, community, and yes, podcasts too. Like I said earlier, my nonprofit Titan, Title I Teaching Advocacy Network, is launching our first educational tool this late July. It's going to help teachers, especially in underfunded Title I schools, plan faster, easier, and more intentionally, because our students don't have time for outdated, recycled worksheets and burned out teachers. This tool was built with educators for educators, and it's just the beginning. The mission of Titan is simple. Support the people in the trenches. Give them tools, build power, don't wait on permission. But this vision, it's not just mine, it's ours. Because you listening to this podcast right now, you might be the next person to flip a classroom, launch a mentorship program, start a mutual aid fund, or run for school board. So here's my challenge. Where are you already doing the work? And what would it take for you to step fully into leadership? I'm not talking about titles or suits or grant lingo. I'm talking about impact, about building something so honest and rooted that it makes gatekeeping irrelevant. Let me make this real clear. St. Louis doesn't need more saviors. It needs more collaborators. People who know that change isn't coming from Washington Avenue, it's coming from Walnut Park, from Fairground, from the South Side, from the block, the North, from the classroom, from you. So here's how we stay connected. Follow me on Instagram at Title I Teaching. Follow me on TikTok at Dr. Lillian Randall. Follow this podcast and share it with somebody who's tired of the silence. This isn't just about content, it's about movement. It's about making sure that the truth doesn't stay buried, because The Hidden Lou, it's not just a podcast, it's a promise to tell the truth, to do the work, and to never let St. Louis forget who it really belongs to.